Hi. It's one of those things where you sit there, you think you add yourself to a situation, and then you don't. So there you go. Happy Monday. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Soccer Down Here AM. And I don't know if it's Morning Abby. I don't know if we can give it the full breaking news sounder kind of a thing. So what we're going to do is this. We're just going to go ahead and talk about it. It is getting closer and closer. For those of you that got to hang out with Garth Lagerway this weekend in Chattanooga, Tennessee, you got to find out about a conversation that he had with fans, and they were wondering about a particular team and a particular player. So what happened was when he was asked about a particular team and a particular player, and he was asked, when is this particular player going to show up? Garth Lagerway said, it's going to be next week. Well, technically, this is already next week. So we get word while we were sleeping from Fabrizio Romano, 4 o'clock in the morning, that, and this is Fabrizio speaking. So here's the layout. Miguel Almiron leaves Newcastle to join Atlanta United, confirmed, and here we go. Verbal agreement sealed between all parties. Also, player side on 4.5-year contract fee around $12 million for Almiron, set to travel for medical tests. So nothing officially official from Atlanta United, but Fabrizio Romano gives you a here we go involving Miguel. $12 million, set to travel, medical tests. Keep an eye on his social media, and we will let you know what is going on with that. Now, not wasting any time, wasting no time, none, zero. We promised you an update, and so it is now time to catch up with one of the founders, one of the big dudes when it comes to Apotheos FC. It's our buddy Anthony Catalano. Happy Monday, Anthony. Something happened, didn't it?
Yeah, John, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. Good to catch up with you because I know that this time of year, catching up with you, short of sitting down and telling folks things for about 45 seconds on social media, it's tough to catch you, man, because it's like trying to catch the brew water for the coffee at Apotheos through an open hand.
That's right. That's right.
But I mean, you guys, go ahead and for those that missed the announcement, go ahead and talk about the change, talk about the new stuff, and talk about what's
Sure.
going down because it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Thanks for having us on. Really exciting news for Apotheos Football Club this past week. So we announced our move into USL League Two. This was a big decision for us. We had, initially gone into the NPSL. That's where we got our start in lower division soccer, and so we're very, very grateful to the NPSL and everything that it gave to us. We just felt like this was a great and fantastic opportunity for us to transition to a league that's more dense in terms of the clubs that are closer to Atlanta Metro. So I think it was going to be able to create some really fun rivalries for us. And so I think it was just it was a good strategic move for our club to be able to move into USL League Two. The time was right. We've got the right stadium, we've got the right environment, and I think this was the best move for our supporters and continue to grow our club.
How much thought went into this? And what I mean by that is how far back did you guys start thinking about possibly changing your home league and all these kinds of things? How far back are we talking here?
Yeah, John. I mean, obviously, we've made some pretty strategic moves in the last, say, 24 months, right? I mean, our inception of our club was in Kennesaw, Georgia. That's the home of our coffee company. And so we really wanted to root ourselves there. Well, we made a big decision to move over into Silverback Park because we felt like we need to integrate ourselves into the soccer community here in Atlanta. And it was missing that element. It was missing that element of lower division soccer that people really wanted to connect back with. So we felt like this was a great opportunity for us. So as we were making these moves, we're always kind of looking at it from a business perspective. What's the right place for us? Where are we trying to go? Where is Apotheos Football Club in their continued growth patterns? And that's really where we've kind of been always canvassing what are the opportunities for us to take the club to the next level. I would say probably really mid-year last year within the NPSL, we started to see that the conference was taking a little bit of a different shape. And then USL2 has really just done a fantastic job of going into smaller markets, building up clubs, getting clubs that are closer to each other, so logistics and travel is economical for clubs. And so I think this was a great opportunity for us as we studied it, as we talked to USL in depth a lot just about the move. And I think it was the right time for us.
When you look at the layout, and this is me doing an incredibly cursory search, not knowing where they're going to put you, but I imagine it would be the South Central if you looked back at 2024, just as
Yeah.
not knowing what reorganization is going to be, not knowing how many other folks are going to be following you guys over the bridge, crossing the water, and going into USL League Two. But just as an idea, the South Central Division last year, and it was about as knockdown drag out as you get, because we followed it along as quickly and as best we could. You were looking at Asheville City,
Yep.
you're looking at Athens FC, you're looking at Legion 2, Dothan United, East Atlanta, SSA, and Tennessee SC. In Asheville, you have a perennial playoff team. You have in Dothan United a team that stepped on the board at Rip Hughes, and they were making an impact in their first year out of the blocks as an expansion team. SSA, we know about their growth and what they're looking to do philosophically. Tennessee SC has made the run to the last game of the year over the last couple of seasons. So you're going into a division, in theory, in the Southern you're going into a conference. Let's put it that way. You're going into a conference where the expectation is very high to get to the last game of the year out of the blocks.
Yeah, it is. And I think, again, that was just a part of our growth, is to continue to elevate on the field and elevate off the field, right? So we knew that if we were going into this conference, into this league, we needed to step up from a competition and be able to put the right players and put the right product on the field to compete. And I think through the announcement of USL, I think the talent that we have here in Atlanta under Coach Johnny's guidance, I think we're going to be able to put a wonderful and like incredibly talented team on the field that's going to compete day in and day out with those clubs that you mentioned. And we're really, really excited to be a part of this league. I mean, like you said, Asheville City has been a tremendous club to watch over the last several years. SSA and all of its history. And then actually Montgomery has been announced too as well. So they shall be in the South Central division. So the growth of the South Central in USL League Two has been fun to watch so far.
What's it been like for you to see the growth of the sport in general since Apotheos came online?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, just as we're all just gearing up and getting excited for right 2025 with the World Cup of clubs and 2026 with the FIFA World Cup. I mean, it's just an exciting time for soccer. All of us that have been in football for so long, just to watch it as it's come over the last several decades. And this is just the culmination of so many people that are interested in the game, the growth at the global stage, players that we watch, that are playing at high levels at international clubs. I mean, it's just a really exciting time for the growth of the sport, and we're excited to be a part of it.
All right. So, what are the next markers that folks need to be keeping an eye on when it comes to, okay, now we get another announcement. Now we get Anthony sitting at a table having more coffee and announcing more things, because, as we sit, you know, everybody sits there and talks about, and I have this conversation. I had this conversation with you guys when Apotheos came into the league to begin with. The schedule in and of itself, you're going, oh yeah, May's just over there. Everything's fine. Mid-May is when things kind of kick in and business is going. But no, mid-May is over there. It's not
Yeah.
just it's like, oh yeah, mid-May. No, it's mid-May. So where are you guys in your transition, getting ready for League Two and getting everything squared away to where you know that you want to hit the ground running the way that you do with Coach Johnny and everything come mid-May?
Yeah, now it's a sprint, right? All the behind the scenes work continues to happen. Yeah, you don't kick a ball until May, but there's so much that builds up to that. So our first big thing is our open tryouts this weekend out at Silverback Park, 10 a.m. Any aspiring talent out there, you're interested in coming and joining out and get out there and show us what you got. Come join us Saturday, February 1st at Silverback Park. And then all of the work behind that, just all of our community events, we're going to be out and engaging in the community. just to start educating people about our transition from, MPSL to USL2, how to come out and see us. When are the games as the schedule gets announced? That won't be released until the league does that. And then just all of the, efforts in terms of the training and getting the guys in, building all the rosters, and then, getting after it. So Johnny, I think, wants to probably get, some, at least a friendly or two in, probably April or May. And then the guys will start training, pretty regularly out at Silverback Park, come May 1st.
Looking forward to it. So basically you're saying you got nothing going on, right?
No. Yeah. We got nothing going on. No, we're busy, man. We're hard at work, and just as you are, and no, we're excited. This is the fun part leading up to it, and then once you get to that first game, that first kick, it's all worth it.
No doubt about it. Anthony Catalano, one of the founders of Apotheos FC, one of the major domos there as they transition to USL League 2. First matches in mid-May, but that don't mean that ain't nothing going on. That's why we figured we'd knock on your door and have you bat leadoff here on yet another week at SDH AM. Anthony, congratulations on the move. Looking forward to you being in one of the toughest conferences and one of the toughest divisions going on. Thanks for dropping by the morning show.
Thanks so much, John.
There we go. That's Anthony. And so Apotheos, they got nothing going on. They're just shifting leagues, and they're going into, and that's why I wanted to ask Anthony about it, because you're going into a league where you're dealing with Asheville, you're dealing with Tennessee SC, a team in Dothan where, like I said, they were an expansion team, and the expectation was pretty high. We got the chance to see them with Dothan and SSA just as part of our early coverage in and around the footprint. So we got to see what Dothan was up to. I think Dothan was chasing after a playoff spot until the bitter end of the regular season. So, I mean, it was stuff that was there, and they're going into a really tough conference and a very, very tough division. So, I mean, it's really cool that Apotheos is making this next step. And so we are really looking forward to seeing the next stages in and around Apotheos as they go into USL League 2 for this season. Now, I know that a lot of you are dropping by, and you got to see the Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. So Fabrizio Romano, here we go. Once again, for those that may have missed it, Fabrizio Romano saying that it is a here we go. So when Fabrizio Romano, for those of you that don't know Fabrizio Romano, he's YouTube, Gimme Sports, wherever you can track down Fabrizio Romano. By the way, just so you know, we always talk about, your sources. Fabrizio Romano on the 280 character app, 23.3 million followers. I think he's okay. So he gave 5 hours ago, like 4 a.m. our time, he gave a here we go for Miguel Almiron. No, there has not been anything official from Atlanta United. But getting closer and closer to that stage is a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. And from the conversation that was had with Garth, with fans in Chattanooga on Saturday that made it to social media. Miguel Almiron leaves Newcastle to join Atlanta United, confirmed, and here we go. Verbal agreement sealed between all parties. Also, players side on a 4.5-year deal. Fees around $12 million. Almiron set to travel for medical tests. So that is where we are with Miguel Almiron through the eyes of Fabrizio Romano. I don't think we have to chase after any other folks to confirm this. But when Fabrizio Romano gives you a here we go, that's where we are. Here we are. Here we go. Here we are. All right. So coming up here in hour number 1, Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, through the magic of tape, provided I can figure out how to multitask and figure out how to upload the tape session that we did before he had to go and then do his day job at 92.9 The Game. So he's probably in a car heading north to Flowery Branch to kind of see what's going on up there and get ready for his day at 92.9 The Game. So we had to catch up with him a little early. Couldn't catch up with him at 9:15. Had to catch up with him a little after 8:30. So we caught up with Abe, and we're going to play that for you here in hour number 1. Hour number 2 is obviously our visit with Soccer for US POD's Bart Keeler. Bart's going to drop in. I wanted to kind of widen it out a little bit because there are some transactions in women's soccer that are seven figures to the left of the decimal place that do impact the U.S. women's national team and what Bart covers when it comes to the national sport and women's soccer and all of that. So I wanted to kind of widen it a little bit, discuss those transactions with him. There were some roughing down here moments on the weekend that we do have to get into, plus another round of stupidity down here involving ref abuse, and we'll get into that, plus all the other news of the morning. Neymar is close to probably heading back to Santos. Looks like he may be heading back there in the next couple of days. They're going to work on the deal. They're going to work on the contract and all that kind of stuff. But it appears, when we go through all the news of the day, that Neymar might be heading back to Santos. And so, like I said, we'll give you all the updates on all the shifting and shaping and all that other kind of stuff. Obviously, since it is a Reaction Monday, I need your reactions to Atlanta United, because we'll play the highlights. We have sound from Ronnie Dyla, have sound from Brad Gazan. That'll either be in hour number one, depending on how much I talk, or hour number two after Bart. So you'll have your highlights. You'll have the sound from Brad Gazan and Ronnie Dyla. Abe Gordon talking about it. Bart Keeler joining us in hour number two. Great to catch up with Anthony Catalano and find out about what's going on at Apotheos as they move from the NPSL to USL League 2 in a very tough division. Expectations for all those teams very, very high out of the blocks, but they're moving into a very, very tough division. And, yeah, we mentioned that May. It's like, yeah, it's just May. No, it's May. So they got a boogie between now, basically the end of January, and literally training camp in April. So March, April 4. So you're talking, what, 2.5 months before training camp? So 10 weeks. They've got a tryout this weekend to go to Apotheos FC, and you can find out all the information about everything Apotheos going on. All right, let's say hi to everybody. Morning, Abby. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Tom. Morning, Ricky. And yes, Abby, looking forward to the announcement this week. Yes, we do have to get into the discussion about Emmanuel Latela, because he lasted the sum total of 11 minutes. Injured. And, yeah, there's some things to say about Middlesbrough in this process, too. So, Latela removed. Michael Carrick, after the match, said that Latela felt something in his groin. That's why he was removed. And so now that's where we are, involving Emmanuel Latela. I'm guessing that, and for those of you who are watching, I'm going to do a quick impression here. All right, so what I'm doing, I am sliding up to the edge of the broadcast table here, where I have all my stuff, 2/3 of my stuff anyway. I'm going to do a quick impression of what I think, excuse me, Atlanta United is doing involving Emmanuel Latela in Middlesbrough. Say you, who are watching or listening, are on the other side of the table, and you're staring at me on this side of the table. The Emmanuel Latela injury happens. He's pulled after 11 minutes. Michael Carrick says what he says, the manager for Middlesbrough, after the match. Quick impression. This is Atlanta United at the table with Middlesbrough. I backed up about a foot. They would back up more. I imagine they probably would get out of their chairs, slide the chairs back under the table, sit there and go, thanks for dropping by. No, we're good, thanks. So keep an eye, and we'll get into other folks that they are looking at. And we can also get some info on Thursday about this particular individual from a buddy, Nino Torres. But we will discuss who they might be looking at now also as it comes to your new targets. Because remember, you still got about a week in the window, February 3rd for Europe, and then there are some other countries that are a little further down. But, yeah, Latela, injured, 11th minute, don't know how serious, and I imagine Atlanta United is just like, okay, we'll get back to you. Click. That's the phone hitting the receiver, not Mateus. So Abby said, sorry, she missed the game in person. Too much construction happening at the abode after 30 years. Tom. Oh, boy. Yeah, Reaction Monday. And why does this team suck? You should never lose to a team 3 divisions below it. No excuses. Raise ticket prices. Garth and Arthur don't care anything about winning, only lining their pockets. Yep, that's Reaction Monday. Ricky, Not a guarantee. He isn't coming. Depends on severity. Yeah, Tom, you didn't miss much. Yeah, Raw is MLS. Exactly. Morning, Rich. No, groinal injuries are not fun. And yes, the Alex Silverman note is something else that we probably should get into this morning about where it looks like the broadcast studios for Major League Soccer, they are not going to be in downtown New York City, or they're not going to be in uh, the NYC 5 boroughs. Alex reports out at Sports Business Journal that Major League Soccer has moved their media and broadcast production operations to the WWE studios in Stamford, Connecticut. And they have expanded their partnership with IMG, set to launch a featured match on Sunday night. Production arm moved to Stamford, Connecticut. So keep an eye on that for Major League Soccer. We will get into the Silverman piece here for just a quick little bit. All right, so I'm going to see if I can multitask here and discuss the Silverman article while bringing in other things. So we will see. We'll see if we can multitask and see if I can learn how we are, how we can, perhaps bring in other video and things like that. So let's see. Let's see if we can do this and discuss what's going on all at the same time. So, did I upload it? Did it upload? So upload video. All right. So hang on. No, but maybe this is going to be like instant or something. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So no, it would be instant whenever I do the interview with Abe, but we're not going to do the interview with Abe quite yet. So, no, that is not what I did. That is not what I did. All right. So anyway, like I said, this is me still learning all this stuff. Anyway, okay. All right. So the Silverman article, it does exist, so that's a good thing. All right. So the Silverman article saith, quote, centralizing the league's previously dispersed multimedia efforts. That's a lot of official language. It comes as the league enters their third season of the 10-year distribution partnership with Apple, expands their relationship with IMG. Seth Bacon, MLS EVP and media. MLS EVP/media, Seth Bacon, quote, goal of moving, get everyone into one place, working together, focused on how we produce the same amount of content at a higher quality, then take that learning and evolve that into how we take the same group of people, figure out how to produce even more content at that same high quality, but more efficiently, so that we don't have to duplication of efforts between groups, actually have everyone focused on one goal, telling great stories. 30,000 square foot facility in Stamford, which WWE opened last April, includes all the studio programming for season pass, graphics production for 600 live matches, short form content, additional content pushed to the league's other content partners, other linear simulcasters, Fox, Univision, TSN, ESPN, CBS, Bleacher Report, YouTube, and TikTok. So Bacon says, need to start feeding our partners content and feeding the machine so that we get more people engaged with the sport, more people thinking about Major League Soccer, consuming MLS, because that ultimately is accretive. It's accretive. I've never heard that word before. I'm 108 years old and I've never heard the word accretive. Ultimately is accretive in the form of season pass subscriptions, ticket sales, merch sales, or equally as important, people becoming stewards of the sport. I'm guessing the word accretive means in part of the accumulation. I'm guessing. Under the deal with Apple, MLS took over production, live match telecast, shoulder programming, first two seasons. It was from NEP Metropolis in Manhattan. Graphics insertion took place in on-site trucks. Meanwhile, staffers at the league Midtown Manhattan offices produce features, digital content. All the content work done remotely. All that will now take place under one roof. 75 staff, MLS, IMG, and AE Live, who replaces Deltatra, who's based in Stamford when it comes to the production, graphics production. Also transitioning from physical studio sets to virtual. Move will ensure that the league's English language and Spanish language programming originate from identical sets and feature the same technology. One of the IMG quote, season pass programming, IMG responsible for the above-the-line production functions, producers, directors, creative, and editorial. Studios at WWE staff will handle below-the-line technical production responsibilities. On-site live match production, IMG will handle above-the-line functions, NEP handling below-the-line functions and providing production trucks. Okay, so it's NEP's trucks going in and everything in Stamford, Connecticut. From a programming perspective, according to Silverman, MLS' most significant play for the 25 season, introduction of a featured standalone match each week on Sunday nights. IMG has hired Tony Mills from Sky to work exclusively on MLS in Stamford. Bacon says the goal is fan growth, taking advantage of the momentum we have leading up to the World Cup, new facility, investment in that growth, something like a match of the week where we produce more content, having more enhanced production, and an investment in that growth. Producing exponentially more digital content is an investment in that growth, and having more studio programming that lives on in season pass and off-season pass is an investment in that growth. So that's Alex Silverman at Sports Business Journal. Thank you, Rich. I did have that on the list, but you beat me to it, so I went ahead and talked about it. Let's see. So morning, Ricky. Morning, Will. Michael. Reservations on the Miggy signing 4.5 years at his age. So we'll see. But remember, he wasn't getting in the last year to year and a half, if you want to use the Marcus Allen analogy. There was still some more mileage on those tires because he wasn't being used every day. So the early work that he was getting, it tapered off. So he was there, but once again, not getting work on a daily basis. So Anthony, updates on any big transfers coming into MLS specifically for Miami. Have not seen transfer news when it comes to Messi and friends. But I'm trying to think of, hang on just a second. Let me see who has come in so far to give you the quick thoughts. And that was this was a big one that fell below the radar on the weekend. Elijah Winder from Lou City, making his way the largest transfer in the USL Championship history. Elijah Winder from Lou City to LAG. That one was big. Bogish also going, and I think the price tag was $9 million. With all of the chaos going on with Cruz Azul and the coaching staff, and yeah, you're supposed to be here, but no, I'm not. I'm over in Europe. This is probably heading to CAS, and so they're trying to figure out who their new coach is, maybe trying to bring their old coach back. We'll get into that separately, but Mateus Bogish to Cruz Azul with all the chaos going on the coaching staff and with the administration to the tune of about $9 million. So Cruz Azul pays $9 million, Bogish goes. Dante Van Zier has transferred to Ghent, KAA Ghent. Jaden Nelson to Vancouver from Rosenborg. Mirto Izuni was the other transfer that was discussed with Austin. That has happened. Really quick, Anthony, I'm trying to see who the last transfer was for Inter Miami, and it looks like it's been a couple days because it appears that, all right, so here, I can actually do a quick search by team. Okay, so the last transaction looks like it was Talasco Segovia coming in from Casapia. Once again, we'll talk to Nino Torres on Thursday about that. So, Talasco Segovia, midfielder. Rocco Rios Novo in net. We know him here in the Atlanta footprint. Rocco Rios Novo was with Lanús after spending time in USL Championship after being here with Atlanta United in the twos. So Rocco Rios Novo goes into the keeper chaos. Gonzalo Lujan was rumored. That finally did come to pass. 3-year deal from a transfer from San Lorenzo, 2028 option. So Lujan to help you out at the back. Oscar Ustari, who was with Inter Miami 2 last year, probably going to be there as well. Tadeo Allende, that was being talked about a lot as a loan. That came to pass where it is a 1-year loan deal from Celta de Vigo for the 25 season, and then Fafa Pico was one of the initial transfers that had happened. So up top, Fafa Pico to give you depth. Allende coming from Celta de Vigo. Ustari to be with the twos. Gonzalo Lujan to help you out at the back. Segovia to help you out in the midfield. And Rocco Rios Novo to help you out with the chaos in net. So that's where we are involving Messi and friends. And Morning Harry and Abby and Tom and everybody's going back and forth on it, on Miguel. And let's see. So and Abby, this is a good point. Have we started SEC plane? Have we our SEC plane tracker people, those that use FlightAware? Do we have anything on flights coming from Newcastle to Atlanta specifically, maybe to hang out at an airport? Check Charlie Brown and PDK. Those of you that really do have thoughts, we'll keep an eye. But yes, when it comes to Emmanuel Latte Lath, depends on the severity. We'll check T-Side Live and see if we have any kind of an update from Carrick as we go. All deals pending a medical. So even if, and that is quite true, Ricky. So even if there was still interest in Emmanuel Latte Lath, then he comes over for a medical, and if he flunks the medical, then ain't nothing happening. And I know that a lot of folks are still focused on the 9 right now, in addition to bringing in Miggy. So Miggy and Tom and everybody discussing Miguel Almiron early here this morning. Harry, Atlanta lost to CFC. San Antonio drew with Houston. MLS sucks. LOL. Preseason matters, right? Yes, absolutely true. And Ricky, that is the other individual. The Cabral rumor coming from Portugal. That is the other rumor that was out there, where initially Cabral, I think Benfica was looking for something in the neighborhood of 20. That number has come down. So maybe if you can get in line and sit there and say, hey, we'll kind of get you close to 20, maybe 16, something like that, where you're not having to pay full price, not having to pay the 18 plus 2 to get Latte Lath in, and you get a healthy player that a team is trying to get rid of. So we'll see. And Amelia says, I respect the statement about the player wants to play. Sorry, but you sit the back of his front down. And yeah, we will get into Burrow, Ricky. Definitely will get into Burrow. No, they wanted to sail and get promoted, but what if they don't get either? They're going to have egg on their face. That is absolutely true. ESPN is in Bristol. Yes. Same state. Bristol is closer to Hartford, and Stamford, I think, is closer to New York City. I think that's my Connecticut geography. I think that's right. So let's see. And Sunday night soccer. And yes, the Friday takeover, Friday doubleheader, Friday night football. That's what you need. And you can thank all of us here at SDH, Twitch Pitch, all of us to discuss it. Doubleheader, Friday night, 7 and 10, make an event out of it. East Coast, West Coast. Let's see. So, morning, Gabe. Let's see. Tom, Messi going back. You saw the Messi going back to Barca when he's done. Same article. Jorge Mas said they were working on an extension. Yeah, they want it to be another year. They want to keep adding a year to make sure that Messi's in the new building, to christen the new building. So that's what they're looking at there. And then Emilio discussing Stanford. Okay, I'm going to see if technology will work, meaning if I can work technology. Here's the conversation that we had before Abe had to go to work about Atlanta United. We'll get into that once again. Here's the rundown for the rest of the show. Abe, whenever I can hit the play button and minimize me and hide me. We've got highlights. We got posts. Then at 10 o'clock, Bart Keeler is going to join us, and we'll discuss reffing down here, stupidity down here, and women's national team stuff and anything else on his mind involving the Soccer for US POD purview. So here is the conversation that we had with Abe Gordon at 92.9 The Game about Atlanta United in the weekend when that happened in Chattanooga, if I can hit the right button. Did I hit the right button? Maybe, maybe not. Did I minimize it? What did I do? I absolutely screwed this up, didn't I? I think I did. All right, so hang on. All right, let me see. Here, settings. No, I don't want settings. Yeah. Oh boy. This is me trying to get things squared away. All right, so there, select the video. And through the magic of recording, time to catch up with our buddy Abe Gordon for his I was about to say daily Monday visit, but if it was a daily Monday visit, Abe, that would be a bit of an issue because it's a weekly Monday visit. Because if every day was Monday, we might be in trouble.
Yeah, that's nightmare fuel that I don't want to start this week off thinking about. So let's go ahead and advance past that.
Yes, let's advance. All right, so optimism begins anew. Atlanta United has had their first match of the season. There are preseason activities and things to think about, but now that the first one's in the books, what sticks in your mind?
Yeah, this is it's like the start of the Disney movie where you know things are going to work out well at the very end, but like they immediately get humbled by like the JV team in their first competitive experience. That's kind of what this is. To me, it's not too much to be concerned about. Obviously, you had a huge combination of first teamers, and then whether you want to call them reserves or academy or second team, whatever you want to call it. That's not your strongest starting 11. And then obviously, ideally, it's not your ultimate 11 out there either. There's possibly some names, of course, that are still working their way through the system. But yeah, I thought in general, up until, you score after I thought was a pretty fair match and you saw a couple of nice things. Then you immediately concede and then they catch a second one and you had a couple of chances there late, but ultimately didn't convert. To me, it's not about the result here, but this is Ronnie Dyla's first experience seeing these guys in a truly competitive environment. You can try and measure it up as much as you want in training, in the facility against each other. But that's what's different about this exhibition season is everyone's kind of on a blank slate. Ronnie Dyla, and I'm sure he's got some familiarity and some expectations, but he's kind of seeing all of these guys for the first time in a manner of speaking. And so that's what I'm looking for out of these exhibition games. And I think that's what he's looking for and how he's using it. There are going to be other managers who would want you to win against so-called lesser competition. That's understandable. I think in this moment, because of the manager situation and also because of the fluid roster situation, let's just see kind of what these guys handle in a competitive environment. And I thought for the most part, guys fared pretty well.
And when we get to catch up with Ronnie Dyla after the match, it was about application. He thought that the second half was better than the first. Obviously, putting the ball in the back of the net will aid in that. And yeah, there were some mixed 11s. You got to see some of the younger players. 3 of the 4 players at the back in the first 45 minutes, just in front of Brad Gazan, were under the age of 21 and were very young when it comes to being in the Atlanta system. You had Dominic Chong-Kui out on the left. You had Luis Abram now, apparently, who is now – he's got the power of 2 Luis Abrams, wearing the number 44 instead of the number 4. And then you had Noah Cobb and Matthew Edwards. That was your back line. And it was interesting to see Matthias Klick come back and be a part and almost be a 6 at times and be that holding midfielder to help out support and have all of these different elements. Who stood out to you? You can take it 45 at a time if you want to. You can go full 90. Who stood out to you as the nice things that you were talking about?
Yeah, well, look, I am a big fan of Matthias Klick, and I talked about it when they acquired him via trade from DC. I was like, there's probably not a lot of people who are going to be more excited about having Klick in Atlanta than me. I remember when we were doing pregame against DC United, and like every single time we did the pregame, it was 2 things. You can't let Benteke get open in the box. And then if he is going to be open in the box, make sure the service isn't from Matthias Klick. I mean, this guy, I think, had maybe 16 assists last season. So I'm really interested to see where he fits in with the mixture of things. And then really, it was just kind of seeing the young guys, as you mentioned, under fire early in that first half. I mean, you would have liked to have seen, whether you score the ball or not, a lot of one-way traffic, and that was not the case. Goose had to make a couple of big saves, and Kui and Cobb had to recover at times and cover for each other at times. So it just continues to showcase a very strong alignment in the back, something that obviously was of major significance last season because of the injuries and because of kind of the depth concerns early on. At least now, you've got a couple of guys that you're going to be comfortable with. But look, it was a little bit. I thought the game was pretty relaxed, right? I don't think you were really under immense pressure at any moment, and so turnovers happened, stuff that would really frustrate you in season, right? I'm trying to remember now. I think there was one bad ball back to Goose that was a little loose, maybe in the second half, towards the start of the second half. I think like stuff like that really would get under my skin in season, just kind of didn't bother me. So again, I wasn't taking too much away from it. And the other thing is it's tough for me to judge based on like teamwork and chemistry. It's just not the full 11. And guys are being asked to either play roles that maybe they're not necessarily going to be in season, but also alongside guys that they're not really going to be asked to partner with in season. And if we get in season and that is the case, they'll have to deal with the chemistry issue there. But I thought everything was fine, and guys are moving well. And I was generally pleased. Again, a scoreline
One of
aside.
the things that we got into in the full-time report, available in the Off the Woodwork section on 929thegame.com. After the match in Chattanooga. Yes, hydrate, sir. Yes, absolutely, hydrate. Corporate branding, too. You got to like that. The 92.9 the 92.9 thermos. You got to like that. One of the things that we were getting that Jason was asking about improvement heading into Birmingham was, and he was asking me and Maddie, all right, it's like he asked Mike earlier in full-time report. He asked me and he asked Maddie. One of the things that I said that I want to see improve week to week as we get to the match in Birmingham on Saturday is the idea that Ronnie Dyla wants you going. He wants you going toward the other goal. He doesn't want you going back toward yours. And the quote, and I'm paraphrasing, it's like, yeah, I got bored watching it when we would go backward. And what that means, at least, to me, is it's like, don't be afraid to, use the abilities that we are confident in you with, to end a sentence in a preposition, to play the ball forward more, to be confident in your passes, to be confident in your connections going forward, to where you're not playing it, and I'm going to use air quotes, safe, and go back and play it to the back line or play it back to Goose and keep possession, being safe in the idea of, yes, we're hanging on to the ball, so that means we got to pass it backward and pass it all the way back if we have to. One of the things that that I'm looking forward to is seeing the pressure forward when you have possession and not just being safe with the ball to keep it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'm bringing up like JV soccer a bunch here today, but like because of the lack of chemistry and probably in general the time together, especially as you work new guys into the system, we didn't see a lot of triangle soccer moving forward. We didn't see a lot of give and goes, 1-2-1, stuff like that. Kind of an aggressive attacking move that gets the ball forward. We saw a little bit of it, mostly disconnected, either a little too much pace on the ball or just missing the run, stuff like that. But I think you can see there were opportunities where, like, man, in a preseason game, especially now, right? Like, that's the thing. If you're going to make the mistakes that Ronnie Dyla, and obviously he doesn't want you making mistakes. He wants you taking the chances, though. But if you're going to make the mistakes taking these chances, do it now. Do it in the preseason where you can learn what he wants and if it will work against some of these defensive teams. And so you're right. I think Chattanooga was just kind of a little bit a get your feet wet sort of thing. I think Birmingham, and now I'm taking it into swimming because I guess I'm just making all sorts of sports analogies. Chattanooga was getting your feet wet and just testing the waters. I think Birmingham is kind of seeing how your stroke looks, right? And you kind of take that next step in advancement of, all right, we kind of see what we're all about, and here we are with each other. And now it's time to really build on that. And I think you're right. Again, don't be concerned with the scoreline. And I know that's tough to say because you're supposed to be the MLS team, and this is a lower tier side, and blah, blah, blah. You're working on things. It's like, here we go with baseball. I can't get away from it today. It's like a pitcher in spring training, right? Like, who cares if he's gotten shelled and given up 7 home runs in 4 innings of work? He's working on a specific pitch. He's looking to advance something so it's ready for the regular season. I think you can use these, especially this next game before you get down to Florida and kind of ramp it up even more. Kind of in that manner where you do want to see what works and what doesn't work. So I'm kind of with you. Like let's take some chances you maybe wouldn't take in game. Find out if they're worth taking in game. But again, it's going to be a slow build. I understand. And even if we add some of the names that we're talking about, and I saw the reports this morning, whatever, we'll see what happens when it gets
it's a
announced
here we go
officially.
from Fabrizio Romano. Yeah.
Sure, but I'll wait till the team's social media account throws me a bone here. But even with the additions we all think and hope are going to happen, I'm going to give the start of the season a little bit of space, right? I mean, obviously, you've got to let it come together kind of naturally. And if you're not peaking at the start of the season, I think we're all going to be okay with that. We're not going to panic. At least I'm not going to panic. You saw last season. I mean, you could be one of the worst teams in the MLS, turn it on for a 5-game, 6-game stretch and make the playoffs, and off we go. And obviously, I hope we're not in that discussion either. But I'm not going to panic if the start of the season is slow. You've got a new manager. You've got a couple of new pieces. Let it all come together. You'd like to ramp it up and make that happen in a month-long span of 5 games and a bunch of training sessions. But we're going to be realistic about it. But I think you're right. It is time to put the gas down a little bit and work on some of these more attacking designs that we all want and expect Dyla to inject into
about
the
90
squad.
seconds with you, because I know that you've got a place that you've got to go. So basically what you're saying is it was cool to wear the floaties in the pool. So, or at least when you put your feet in the water this time out against Chattanooga, it's okay to get in the water wearing the floaties, or do you want them diving into the pool and just kind of seeing what the temperature is here?
Yeah, I was never really concerned about the floaty, whether I was going to get into the pool or not.
Yes.
It was the temperature. And so now that we've gotten in, we've seen it's a temperature that we're comfortable swimming in, and I think we go to work from there. I'll tell you what, John, when I was a kid, and I was and I'm talking like kid, not like real swimming. I mean, yeah, it was real swimming, but like
Tuesday,
kid swimming. No, well, like not like high school swimming or anything like that. But when I was a kid, I was such a good swimmer that the coach at our local swim and dive club would let me skip practice if I thought the water was too cold. So, and now for whatever reason, and just like I go on my runs, and when it's race day, I run way better than I do on any of my training runs. I never had an issue with the cold water on like during the meets, but like we'd practice in the morning. If it was cold, I'd go chill on the swing set, wait for practice to be over. But come the meets, I was winning. So that's all that mattered.
Get out of here, my friend. I know you've got to go to the branch. Hit the promo for me for 92.9 The Game real quick.
Yeah, it was great hearing Mike and Jason back on 92.9 The Game. I can't tell you how much I'm really looking forward to the season, and we're going to have coverage of it. I think our next broadcast, if I remember correctly, is going to be Atlanta United. I want to say that's against Dallas on the 15th. Coverage will start at 11:50, but separate of the game broadcast itself, we're starting to ramp up our coverage too, and obviously if some news officially breaks over the next day or two, you can find coverage of that and discussion of that on 92.9 The Game. Of course, on Soccer Down Here and Off the Woodwork podcast.
All right, go to your day job. Thanks for hanging out, my friend.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
And there's Abe. So at least I got the out. At least I got the out squared away. So, all right. So that's Abe, and got the chance to catch up with him and find out what's in his mind going forward. For these Mondays where we have stuff going on. Oh, I did not. I so did not hit that button. I so did not hit that button. I did not hit that button. I swear. I was trying to delete the file from the conversation this morning. I didn't hit it. So anyway, so that's the Abe conversation that we had morning, Derek. And I'm glad that you guys are having the conversation about Latte Lath and Cabral and Benfica and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. So we got 5 minutes. Tell you what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and play the highlights. And it's about a minute and a half. So that way I know that I can do this. And once again, I'm going to apologize. I tried to jack up the volume of the highlights. So let me know if it's still too low. I'm getting to the point to where I'm trying to boost audio levels in post, but I don't want it to be overmodulated and sound like this. So, all right. Let me know if this is louder, because by the time we get to the regular season, I want the volume levels to be where they're supposed to be, and I want the setup to be where it's supposed to be, to where you guys aren't sitting there going, louder, in the Twitch pitch. So as a public service, I'm going to max out the volume on the highlights. I might try to do something on my headset in the main mix here and see if it plays through that. But let me know if this is any louder than the previous setups. Here's your highlights, courtesy of 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app.
Clean trap. He's able to square it to Moyembeau. Fires it ahead to Brennan on the far touchline. Pitched in the direction of Edwards now, who's behind the back line. He dribbles to the top of the 18. He squares to Baranchuk. Shot! And it's tipped wide of the near post and out for a corner by Jakupovic. Saba will walk into the near corner to send this in. Here it comes into the goal mouth. Header! Score! Atlanta United solves the problem. In the 80th minute, they get a goal on a set piece to take a 1-0 lead here in Chattanooga. The left back pitching it down the middle. It's over the head of Gregerson. That falls into the run of Ibarra. Cohen off his line, and Ibarra walks it into the net. Chattanooga equalizes in the 83rd minute. On the right wing. Angle to Cohen's left from 30 yards out. This is sliced. The penalty spot bounces all the way through. Tip, score! Chattanooga takes the lead. Atlanta United unable to clear a bouncing ball on their 18, and Chattanooga has scored a potential game winner. And it's thrown in where Schweiss will send it past Wynn to Saba, back to Wynn at the right side of the 18. It's crossed the back post. Mosquera volley. What a save by Beretta to save the game.
Okay, so from what I'm gathering, what I need to do is, and congratulations, Ricky, being at the home opener with the young'un. Very, very cool. And Googie, thanks for dropping by this morning as well. So now, from what I understand, if I max out, well, I had to max it out. If I go like +2 or +3 in the VU meters, if I go like, if 0 is baseline. So in the edit, I've got to add 2 or 3 decibels. And then on the audio board, I've got to boost it like 25%, like a quarter. So now I know. Thank you, Abby, for being the monitor of the audio. And okay, so I think we're getting there. At least with me, you can hear me. With the guests, you can hear the guests. So now the highlights, I've got to max it out and boost it on the audio board 25%. Okay, that's good to know. I've got that figured out. All right. A couple of things before Bart joins us coming up here in a couple of minutes. NYC defender Christian McFarland has joined Manchester City on a free transfer. NYC is going to get a sell-on percentage if McFarland is sold in the future. We do have some more stupidity down here involving Raja Nangolan. We will get into that. Ren have confirmed that Kyogo Furuhashi has joined from Celtic for a fee of £10 million. Furuhashi could not have gotten out of Celtic any faster to go back to Ren. Renato Vega has passed his medical ahead of joining Juve on loan from Chelsea. Spurs continue to back Ange Postecoglou, according to Ben Jacobs, especially after the 2-1 loss to Leicester. He is expected to stay in charge as Spurs look for January signings to support him. Famous last words. So that will be intriguing as well when it comes to what's going to happen with Spurs. That's probably one of the bigger storylines of the Premier League coming out this weekend. All right, so filibustering away. All right, it is 10 o'clock, so that means that we bring in Bart Keeler for his normal Monday visit. Bart, what up? Oh, he's wearing the forest green today. Okay, so is Les Miserables, is that your mug, sir? Sound! I need to hear you. I ain't got you. Uh-oh. So Bart's got Mondays. Bart's grid has a case of the Mondays. Or maybe his headset has a case of the Mondays. It's all Monday. It's the preseason. We're working all the bugs out. That's where all of this goes. Not a problem at all. Katie Weaver didn't want to think about Spurs this morning. Yes. No, Abby, I am saying it for the record. I am saying it for the record on the off chance. Keep talking, because when I hear you, then I can hear you. So, nope, nothing. All right. So, wild swings of opinion on Cohen. Let's see. So Ricky wants to know what the hoodie is. Just blab, because when I hear you, I will hear you. All right. So yes, I am saying it out loud, Abby. Oh, I heard something. I heard some kind of an audio staticky thing. It's like I'm hearing static, but I'm not hearing you. So I don't know what's going on. All right. So the hoodie. Ricky wants to know about the hoodie. And the hoodie, it is very XFL-ish. And if I could find, is it on the? Yeah. Okay. So this is old. This is 2.0 XFL. That's what this is. So, all right. So Bart, let me put you in the green room so you can figure out, hopefully, your audio. Give me a thumbs up in the green room. I don't know. Here. So here, let me do this and just, okay. So he's logged off and he's logged back in. Okay. It is XFL 2.0. It is your Vegas Vipers. I have a lot of Vegas Vipers gear because of this logo. And so this is my favorite just because of I always like darker colors, but I like how this was put together. So, but yeah, this is Vegas Vipers from XFL 2.0 before the merger. So that's what this is. Yes. I hope it's not on my end, because if it's on my end, that would stink. Because traditionally what I do in the green room is I hear audio levels. And then I can sit there and go, hey, this is what's going on. Tell you what, let's hear some more. Let's hear some posts, and this will be Brad Gazan, and we will hear from Brad and find out what was on Brad's mind after the match with Chattanooga FC. So here's Brad Gazan after he played his first 45 minutes. So actually, all right. So actually, I tell you what. So Bart, we're going to try Bart again, and we'll bring Bart in. So here we go. Bart, what's on your mind? Maybe nothing. Damn it. Nothing. Damn it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I have no audio coming into my board from you. I have none. I don't know. I am thoroughly, because this is like the first time this has ever happened in the history of Bart being on this show. But it's the Monday worries. That's where we are. I have zero audio coming from Bart. I don't know what's going on. And it's Bart's going to go look for things, and we're going to play Brad Gazan. So Bart will have things to listen to as we go. So here. All right. So Bart's going to troubleshoot, and I'm going to play Brad Gazan from the weekend about his thoughts after the first 45.
Did you learn anything today?
Yeah, listen, anytime you play a real opponent, you're able to see things that maybe don't come out in training as much. The pitch certainly played a decent part in the quality, I think, of the execution of whether it's passes, touches, turns, crosses, all that. But with that being said, a couple of half chances in the attacking third. Looking at some of the things that we've been talking about over the last 2 weeks in terms of having them play around us, being compact, being together, even on the transitional moments. I can remember one, Clicky getting back, Tristan getting back. So those are big plays that probably go unnoticed, but things that we've been talking about and working on over the last 2 weeks. So a good exercise for sure.
Coach said he wanted to hear more communication out there. we're up in the press box. We can't hear anything. How was that down on the field?
I heard a drum, so I heard a drum. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys communicate in different ways, right? I communicate with my voice just because it keeps me in the game. It helps me organize, helps me stay connected to the guys in front of me. Guys are talking out in the field. I think it's what he's referring to is in moments when there needs to be an authoritative voice of urgency, of organization, there needs to be assertiveness coming from guys, passing on messages to others.
Did you hear any of that?
Yeah.
Other than the drum?
I mean, listen, there's a horn at some point. There certainly can always be more. More is always better. I think it was a good start.
Brad Gazan, as I sit here, and it's like audio level up, audio level down, audio up, audio down. I have no idea. All right, so round 2. Bart? Nope. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. Try your phone. I'm not getting any audio here. None whatsoever. I don't know. Like I said, Apotheos was Anthony Catalano from Apotheos was fine. I don't know. I'll take you back out. All right, so Bart's going back out. Round 2, with what's going on. Really call into the studio. Michael, I think Michael wants to know what the complaint was turf at Finley, and turf gives weird bounces. And like I said, that's just part of the conversation with Brad. You can catch the full conversation that we had with Brad at the Off the Woodwork and the full-time report over at Off the Woodwork section at 929thegame.com and the Odyssey app. Brad's thoughts on the pitch were, I mean, literally, it was a turf surface, and it gave some odd bounces. The turf itself was not giving normal bounces, like normal forward bounces. If you were trying to pass forward, the ball would check up. If you would try to pass it, it's almost like if you're trying to give it, just push it forward, it would end up almost giving backspin at times on its own. So the Fort Finley surface had a mind of its own. So that was kind of what Brad was alluding to, involving what we saw with the surface and passing and all of this kind of things. Derek's saying that Bart's problems are because he's wearing the Forest kit. And so maybe it's the Forest kit. And this was one of the things, and this is what I brought up in the full-time report, Ricky. Love the quote from Dyla talking about how he got bored seeing Atlanta United pass backward. He wants, and that's why I brought it up with Abe. It's like Dyla wants you to go forward. If you make a mistake, make the mistake forward. Don't make the mistake going backward. Trust in the system. We trust in who you are as individuals. Just, be confident in yourself going forward with what we're trying to have implemented. And when you pass backward, Chattanooga FC was just like, yeah, okay, cool. You can have possession. It's a goalless game. We don't care. And they were just kind of chilling every time the ball would go back. But what you would see is when the ball would go all the way back to Brad would instantly try to get it to Luis Abram up the left-hand side to get things started quickly. So if it went back to Brad's trying to start things quickly to go back up the left-hand side, at least when I was looking at it in certain instances, when the ball would go back to him from, say, Click or any one of the back four or from your six at the time, Brad's trying to restart things quickly up the left-hand side. He wasn't just laying there and delaying and, going, okay, what am I going to do? It's like literally pass back to him from 25 yards or so. I'm giving it to Luis to Dominic, and we're off and going down the left-hand side. So those kinds of things, Tyler looks like I got bored. And so it was interesting to see all these kinds of things. So Abby is switching to phone, and the Finley turf and MBS turf, Ricky is absolutely correct. They are not the same. Michael, you're playing there because you're growing the game in the Southeast. Darren Eales, back to even the time when Darren was here. Darren wanted to be the team of the Southeast. And so for Atlanta to play in Birmingham, to play in Chattanooga, you're playing in these locations. And Fort Finley is where Chattanooga FC plays. And so that's the team that you've been playing. You play at Fort Finley, and it is what it is. But you're growing the game in the Southeast, and it just so happens to be on a surface like that. So that's what you're staring at. Don't know, Ricky. I don't know. Well, I hadn't played the Red Wolves yet. Do not know. So that's one of the other questions that's attached. So we keep an eye on all that stuff. Okay, so we've heard from Brad. So let's hear from Ronnie Dyla. You'll see me adjust my headphones. Yeah, that's the Red Wolves in USL League One, Michael. All right, so let's hear from Ronnie Dyla. And here's what Ronnie Dyla had to say. Once again, you can catch this full conversation at the Full-Time Report Off the Woodwork podcast at 929thegame.com. But here's the beginning of our conversation with Ronnie Dyla after the match.
You talked on Thursday about wanting to see the reactions from players in certain situations. I'm curious, what is your reaction after seeing them give up 2 goals in 7 minutes after taking the lead?
First of all, now it's good to see all the players get some answers, get to know them. They get to know me. A lot of information in 14 days. I think it was an even game. I think we in the second half it was the best half we had. I think we played better in the second half than we did in the first half. So I think the organization in the second half was very good. I think we had full control, but we give away a easy ball in behind and a set play. So that's disappointing. Always disappointed when we lose, but I think that application was good. They did tried, and as we knew that there was things we're going to work on, but also a lot of good things. They didn't create almost nothing. There was the 2 chances they scored on. They had one in the first half with Brad there were out and save. So and we had 2-3 chances ourselves. So we there was an even game, and in the end we lost because of details. So but I get irritated to lose. That's in my body, but at the same time I understand that it's the first game, and we are here to practice. That's what we are. But we want to win at the same time, and that's why we are a little bit disappointed.
I bring it up that goals scored so quickly after y'all did, because as I'm sure y'all saw reviewing film of last season, this was a problem for Atlanta United. It would give up goals almost as soon as it scored, or switch off. So, I mean, is that something that worries you right now, or is it just we'll work through it during preseason and not worry about it?
I don't worry about anything. I know where we're going to go, and I painted that picture for 14 days, and I need time to get that into everybody. So, but we need to learn from what we have done last year, and try to improve the trends that is happening. But it's not worrying me. I can't say that. This is change of attitude and mentality. So over time, so hopefully the way we train and the way we talk and the way we evaluate what we're doing, then these kind of things will.
Ronnie Dyla, head coach of Atlanta United. Once again, you can catch that full conversation. 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app on the Full-Time Report, the Off the Woodwork section. So go to 929thegame.com and click on Off the Woodwork. Takes you into the Full-Time Report and all the soccer content that they have there at 92.9 The Game. And you can listen to the Full-Time Report with me and Maddie and Jason and Mike. And you get all the details from Atlanta United and Chattanooga FC. Plus the full conversations. Like I said, I like to play like 2 minutes, because then it kind of gets a little long in the tooth. So you got 2 minutes from Brad Gazan, about 2.5 from Ronnie Dyla. I thought it was important to have him finish his answer there. And so you can listen to the full post-game comments of Brad Gazan, Ronnie Dyla. Full-Time Report, Off the Woodwork section, 929thegame.com and the Odyssey app. So thanks for dropping by, as you always do. And so, so we'll continue to monitor what's going on. Nothing on the media that is social involving Emmanuel Latela. There are no updates, really. But you do have an article from Eric Paler at Teesside Live admitting that if Latela leaves this month, it will be a tough replacement. They did bring in Morgan Whitaker from Plymouth Argyle, and Whitaker posted a message to social media to Plymouth Argyle and their fans. Right now, they're last in the championship. odds are they will get relegated back to League One. And Whitaker was picked up for 6+2. The number that we have for ATLUTD is 18+2, and we'll see what happens there. But no update involving ATLUTD, the injury, nothing from Michael Carrick. Let me check really quickly and see if Carrick has had his Monday press opportunity or anything like that. Let's see, Micah Hamilton on the weekend. Let's see. Road trip to Bristol. And no, the women played this morning. Ryan Giles had a birthday, but no updates from Michael Carrick about an injury, depth of same, or anything like that. So that's kind of where we are involving Emmanuel ATLUTD and the injury that he picked up once again, pulled after 11 minutes in their match on the weekend. And Ricky, we're going to take this one as a win because no one came off injured this time. So we'll see once again how things go to Birmingham. We will be in Birmingham, and we'll be there for the match, give you all your match coverage, post-game, all that kind of stuff. But also remember, we're going to be at Monday night on Saturday night, if that makes any sense. So we're going to be there for kind of a post-game powwow kind of a thing. We are going to have some of our friends from Birmingham Legion dropping by, and they are, they're getting ready for their season too. They've had some big pickups in the off season. So for those of you that will be in attendance and in the area, just know that we will be at Monday night. What do they call it? Monday Night Brewing and Social Club. I think that's what they call it. And we'll be there. Show's going to start about 7:30 Eastern time. And so you'll be able to kind of catch that and see what's going on in the summer of soccer. The summer of soccer for what we see from our friends at the Flood Project. Scott Flood doing an incredible job there. Monday Night Social Club Brewery and Kitchen, 14 12th Street South, Birmingham, AL 35233. So 7:30-ish Eastern time. I think Maddie and I are going to be the ones starting the whole thing up, and on Saturday night. So 7:30 Eastern time, 6:30 if you're there. If you make the tour, then you can sit there and hang out with us, and we'll talk Legion, we'll talk United, we'll talk all the things that are going on right now in and around Atlanta United, Birmingham Legion, USL Championship. I think Keeler Hodges is going to be joining us as well, so it's going to be fun to see what's going on there with him and the USL show. Let me see if I can find it right there. That's the USL show scarf. But Keeler Hodges is going to be there. I think some Legion players are going to be there as well. And so then we're going to be Monday night on Saturday night, starting at about 7:30. So if you're there in Birmingham, come and see us there and take a peek at what's going on. Okay, now get into some stupidity down here. We can do that. We'll get into what's going on the weekend, anything else that's on your mind across the board. We do have, like I said, we do have our fair share of stupidity down here. Nashville made a move this morning. And like I said, and we'll keep track of all these moves from all of these teams because they're going to be kind of hanging around or impacting us one way or the other when it comes to our coverage and what you're going to be following. Wubens Passius, you might remember him from Huntsville City Football Club. Nashville's, he is one of the Nashville players. He has now been loaned to Tampa Bay Rowdies of USL Championship. So once again, spending last season at Huntsville City, he is now going to be spending his season with our friends at Tampa Bay and find out what life is like in USL Championship. So Wubens Passius getting some minutes with Tampa Bay Rowdies in USL Championship. Badger talking about Red Bull Stadium, talking about CHI Memorial. By comparison, small in comparison to Findlay Mock's daughter goes there. Yeah, CHI Memorial, I want to say seats about 1/3. Findlay does. It's like 6,000 to 18 to 20 or somewhere in there. So 6,000, 6,500. I think that's the margins. So, and it's just the relationships that are there in town And Atlanta United right now has 8 years been paired with a team that's been around longer in Chattanooga FC. So they play at Fort Finley, and it was fun. It was fun 8 years ago, and it was this past Saturday to see what's going on with everything there. All right, so now take 2. Okay, Bart's thinking. He's thinking. No. Yeah, there you are.
Good.
All right. So what?
Machine's completely John. I don't know what was going on. Something with my computer was not allowing my microphone to work.
Ooh. Yeah, but you're here, and that's what matters.
I am here now.
Yes. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with reffing down here? Do you want to start with the women's transfers and Naomi Girma going to Chelsea for 7 figures to the left of the decimal, or is there a choice D that's out there for you this morning?
We can start with refereeing down here.
Okay, so we'll go with reffing down here, and we'll start with a match that you had an interest in. And it's the Arsenal Wolves match, the Lewis Skelly foul on Matt Doherty. Picked up a loose ball, edge of the box, goes forward. Lewis Skelly brings Doherty down. Michael Oliver goes red. Serious foul play. Checked and cleared by the VAR. Darren England, what say you?
Well, obviously, I had a vested stake in this particular match.
Yes,
and, I do think that while there are, if you go by the letter of what PGMOL and the Premier League have said should be a red card, then you can look at this foul and go, okay, yes, this is a red card. However, as we saw with multiple other challenges this weekend, that met the same criteria or met other criteria that are in the literal laws of the game, John. I don't understand how this is a red card in those contexts.
Okay. So then for the other call that you have by comparison, what is the other call that you are bringing to the table, sir, for your evidence here that you're presenting?
Literally the call that happens in the same game. There's João Gomez staying on a foot. And so my question then is Lewis Skelly getting a red card purely because there was minimal contact, possibly with the stud, possibly above the ankle? But João Gomez doesn't get a red card for actual serious foul play. Does that make sense? So when
it does.
We're defining serious foul play, I think that's the issue here. Is if we're not arbitrarily, but if we're just assigning like, oh well, if it's gone above the ankle, then it's serious foul play. But how many balls do we see that happen? We saw what happened in another match. I think it was the Liverpool match where Mitch's player jumps into a Liverpool player and makes contact with the damn knee, John, with his foot. That's not right. So what are these guidelines meant to do? That's my question. When you look at the laws of the game and you examine what serious foul play is, my question is, how does Lewis Skelly's red card meet the definition of serious foul play from the laws of the game, which is a tackle or challenge that endangers the safety of an opponent or uses excessive force or brutality must be sanctioned as serious foul play. I think that it's perfectly acceptable to look at this as a stopping a promising attack foul, which it was, and give the yellow card. But when you look at other fouls throughout the weekend that were not deemed serious foul play, that used excessive force or brutality against an opponent, and you give the red card to an Arsenal player for the 8th time in your career, while avoiding, by the way, while also having more level matches than anyone, you avoid giving Manchester City red card for your entire career. But you have to call shenanigans, and I'm really sorry. and I know we're going to get into some more issues with referee abuse, but Michael Oliver, bud, you got some explaining to do, because you seem to always get these little minutiae correct when you're refereeing for Arsenal. Oh, Manchester City or Liverpool are in play. Well, we gotta let players decide the game. And so when we're asking for consistency, I know that's the thing that all fans want, and coaches want, and players want. That's the question I have for this man, because he just loves to produce red against Arsenal. But far be it from him to ever hold Manchester City accountable for action that absolutely should be sending off offenses.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, that's just
absolutely.
like that stat I read was
know.
absolutely insane to me.
I know. I know that I do wish to discuss ref abuse and things like that as part of stupidity down here. But yeah, you do mention by comparison. 2 weeks ago, I want to say, before you went to America's Mart for an entire week, your last reffing down here, I think it was Brighton's Joao Pedro jumping into Christian Walton for Ipswich. And basically, it was yellow supported by VAR. And apparently, and this is our buddy Dale Johnson, I think it was the same VAR that gave the Lewis Skelly red that gave the Enciso yellow. Or so Salisbury was the ref in the middle for the Enciso Endo call in Liverpool and Ipswich. So there is a history here with Salisbury and how everything loops together here when it comes to all of these decisions that are made. But I want to get into VAR and how you have in England. There is, and in Europe, frankly, there is this rally cry that VAR should not exist because, for whatever reason, you're taking away from whatever aspect of the game people are yelling about it at any given moment. But right now in England, in the Premier League, and I'm trying to phrase this a certain way on purpose, it appears that the Premier League is still in the growing pains portion of the program when it comes to VAR and who to have up in the booth, deal with any kind of consistency when it comes to application, because VAR seems to be all over the place, and that gets fans mad, that gets front offices mad, it gets coaches mad if there's no consistency there. I mean, am I off in saying that there are still a lot of growing pains that they're having to do on the fly, because it doesn't seem like there's consistency when it comes to how VAR is applied in England? Am I off?
think there are multiple. No, I think there are multiple issues with VAR from not just in England but also in Europe. But I think in England, the one that
True.
I think most people are upset with.
Yeah.
The one that most people are upset with is time. I think that's the biggest complaint, is that it takes too long, right? And that is a legitimate critique, and I think that goes back to applying VAR, what you're talking about, consistently, right? When should VAR intervene, and how should they intervene? So, for example, I think in the Miles Lewis Skelly, which, by the way, seen MLS abbreviation from Arsenal accounts and other EPL accounts, is really throwing me off nowadays. But when you look at the Miles Lewis Skelly record, I think they are acting appropriately. Was there a clear and obvious error? No. I'm sorry, as much as I'd like to say there is, this was not a clear and obvious error in terms of VAR intervention. And so that was a well-handled one. But then I think there was another instance this week with the Crystal Palace Mark Gahey infringement on a penalty kick that seemed to take a very long time to figure out, was Mark Gahey encroaching or infringing on the penalty area, and then was he the first player to touch it? And that should be really two simple things to identify, especially because VAR in a penalty kick situation makes a whole lot of sense, right? The referee can keep his eye on the goalkeeper, the kicker, and all however many dingle heads that are on the top of the penalty area being stupid. I mean, they're grown adults who are acting like stupid kids at that point. And okay, VAR should be hyper vigilant in those situations because again, you are providing a review to the referee, and for them to not get the call correctly within a minute, I think would have been appropriate to say, hey, we'll check it because that should happen every single time you have a penalty kick. Let's check everything. Yeah, my audio's screwed up, and I'm really sorry. I don't know what's going on this morning. I lit a candle and everything, so. It is frustrating when it takes so long, but I think one thing that they can do to help alleviate some of these outrages is just be more efficient.
You mentioned time. And for me, I have always maintained that the longer you are staring at something, the more you're looking for something, if that makes any sense. It's like if it's not clear and obvious off the top, then you're kind of going in there with the magnifying glass and you're kind of sitting there and going Zapruder film and all these kinds of things when it comes to what you're looking at. I would almost go as far as setting a time limit. 2.5.
Yeah. I can see that, John, because I don't think we want to add hard and fast time limits. I think that might be a problem, but I do think that as the on-field official, right, the center referee, giving them some power to be like, hey fellas, or hey ladies, we need to get this game going. If you've seen anything, we need to go.
Yeah.
Right. And this is also where I say there should just be look to the referee. There are a couple of instances, in my opinion, where VAR should be the ones making, right? Are you offside? Are you in an offside position? Right. And that is a yes or no question. The other one could be, we just talked about penalty kick. Did the goalkeeper come off his line or not? Did a player encroach? Those are the things that are pretty black and white that a video assistant referee can look out. Hey, Bart, we saw him. He was offside, and he was the one who scored the goal. And you go, okay, fine. But everything else should be, for the most part, in my opinion, triggered for the referee to have an on-field review. That's been my biggest thing. That's why it works so well in American sports, is because the referee on the field is the one who's making the decision, but has been alerted by whatever system to say, hey, you need to take a second look. And so that, to me, would be another way to solve this problem. And to your point, sure, that could take longer, but I think you feel slightly better when you see a referee looking at a monitor, the referee itself, and people can see that, as opposed to some randoms up in a who knows where, Georgia World Congress Center or wherever it's going to be in 2026. Going, well, we think maybe, or hold on, let's get the exact right frame that shows that we got it right. And that's the other problem that I think you can look at the Miles Lewis Skelly incident and go, well, yeah, if you cut it by frame, sure, there is a nanosecond of contact above the ankle where the studs were kind of out of that angle. But when you look at the tackle as a whole, and I think most of the players who have been commenting on this looked at it, they go, oh, hold on now, this is not a serious foul play incident. This is just, a typical challenge trying to stop an attack. And yeah, some of the two solutions I would have is you just need to be more efficient. It could come down to time, but I think most importantly, it's just you need to make sure the referee on the field is one most empowered to look at the call, review the video footage, and then make the final determination.
Soccer for US POD's Bart Keeler hanging out with us as he always does on a Monday. And you've got to also have a center ref that can put his ego aside and go to the monitor.
See, this is why they have the problem in England.
Yeah.
They don't put their egos aside in that regard ever about when it comes to this. And remember, y'all, remember who writes the laws of the game, John? The IFAB, right? The International Football Associations Board. You know who makes that up? It's the home nations of FIFA. So who gets the most say in all these things? The FA. Let's be real honest about that. You know, the FA, sure, the Welsh, Scottish, they have some Northern Irish, they have some say, but it's the English FA and FIFA. Well, who's let's just be real honest about how these laws are constructed. And they still mess it up, John. They still mess it up week in and week out. So
Yeah, they do. Michael Oliver on the weekend after Arsenal and Wolves. PGMOL says we are appalled by the threats and abuse directed at Michael Oliver following Wolverhampton Wanderers v Arsenal fixture. No official should be subject to any form of abuse, let alone the abhorrent attacks aimed at Michael and his family over the past 24 hours. The police are aware, and a number of investigations have commenced. We are supporting Michael and all those affected and are determined to tackle this unacceptable behavior. Sadly, this is not the first time that a match official has been forced to deal with threats in recent times. We will continue to support all investigations. That's from the PGMOL. I didn't want to ask necessarily about Michael Oliver because we know these abuses sadly happen. And I want anyone and everyone, when they're found out in these things, to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and to a point to where they're thrown in jail or wherever's appropriate, charged, whatever there is the appropriate charge, and never allowed to be in any ground in their home country ever again. Period. But I want to get to this part. What does this say? And when you see things like this about folks wanting to be officials, wanting to be refs, but because they see things like this and these things continue to happen, they change their mind. Do you see any of this? What is the state of refereeing today and getting folks involved in the process?
well, they've been working on this for a while, John, and they have U.S. Soccer and Georgia Soccer have tried to institute some policies that enable referees to stamp it out. But I think the problem, and they're trying to work on this, the problem always continues to, if I'm the one saying, hey, don't do that as a referee, that's not going to come off as strongly as if it's a parent or another spectator or club official saying, hey, don't do that. And instituting actual sanctions and punishment for being abusive toward officials. Now, luckily at our level, for the most part, we're not. I mean, people could find me, I guess, on Instagram, Twitter. It's hard, but they have to know mine, which is also not something that's published, right? We get that in our signing portals, but it's not necessarily published. And they would have to it's going to be a lot of effort to find me online if you don't know who I am. But in the realm of what we do on every weekend when we go out and make sure 10-year-olds are playing the game correctly, the referee abuse comes almost instantaneously, and that is where, from my standpoint, I'm battling that. It's the same as, John, when you have someone throw stuff onto the field after a bad call, and those people should be kicked out and never allowed to come back in. And let them back in the game. But there are times when people have used bad words. They're all about protecting players, and players should other player all this, and then oh, young, they should be able to do this, and yet they're the ones somehow cursing a referee at a U14 game that they would want a kid kicked out for if they use those same words. And that's where those types of things need to be handled in the moment. And it can't just be the referee saying, "Hey, you got to leave." We need support from the facility managers and club officials to take further steps, right, to ensure not only that person is not allowed to be at games for the foreseeable future, but also sanction teams and the parents as a whole, in my opinion. Because as I've found out, many players, well, oh, we're not like that. And yet here they will very much be like that. Or they'll go, well, that wasn't us, but it was, the parents 2 seats down. And, well, it's all of you at this point. That's the problem, right? Is you're not standing up to stop the behavior. So you're not really that much better than the people doing it, because especially where what I'm doing is a lot of these people that I work referee with are under the age of 18. And I'm just going to be here and say this. I am super hyper protective of the the youth referees, because if you're going to try to intimidate or yell at a 16-year-old who's doing their best out there and, in my opinion, doing a decent enough job, then I don't really respect you enough as a person to not tell you off in the moment. Sorry.
One more thing before we get out of here for your visit this week, as you have your Les Miserables mug with you.
That's the description
Naomi,
of the audio and everything today. That's for sure.
Naomi Girma, 1.1
Yeah,
billion to
man.
Chelsea. That's seismic, I think.
That's great, because I want to address 2 things on this. First is that transfer fee is fantastic. This is starting to set, one, she deserves it. I think anyone with a brain who's not from Europe will tell you that she's the best player in the world. And most people in Europe will admit that, but they just don't want to actually admit it, which is why she doesn't really win awards. But, I think you look at that price point and you go, oh, yeah, she is good. And it's funny because it's not like Chelsea needs the help. They're doing just fine, despite needing a referee decision to beat Arsenal on the weekend. But they are setting a standard for the women's game that, look, as an Arsenal fan, I will continue to say, I think in Europe, especially in England, the women's game would not be where it is had Arsenal not started treating the women's program as a full-time professional program, which many people didn't. And Arsenal was really the first to do that. With Vic Akers taking the helm of that, and so that was great. But Chelsea has, in recent years, maybe the past decade, kind of taken that mantle, and because they have always had money to spend, have not been afraid to spend money. And this is another example of the club taking the reins here. But in terms of Burma, this is a great move for her. Something that I've always, well, not always, but something I've been saying since 2023, at least, and maybe 22. Right. But the notion that Europe was catching up with the U.S. is a little uncomfortable, because talent in the U.S. is still outpacing Europe by, I don't know, tenfold. Most European leagues are not, in my opinion, worth going to, for the most part. You can look at Barcelona, Lyon, Wolfsburg, Bayern Munich. They're very good teams, but the leagues are still not at the level that they need to be considered good leagues. You might have a good club, you might have good teams. USL has the best talent. These teams from the bottom. We know this. But Burma was not a very good team, and a team that, quite frankly, has somehow managed to botch almost every decision they made as they came into the league, despite their first good decision of hiring Casey Stoney. Watch that one eventually. So for her to get out of that is good. I was kind of expecting her to go somewhere in the league. Honestly, I thought that she could be someone who could absolutely help any NWSL club she would have gone to. But, John, NWSL does have seating limits. And who doesn't is the WSL. And it's very clear that Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, those were the only 4 clubs really that could afford that type of player and that type of fee. And so I do think that, when you look at the WSL, you have 4 clubs that very much are at the top of the game: Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City, Manchester United. but the league is good enough to still provide you competition week in and week out, which is something a lot of the other European leagues have. So the NWSL is not short on. And so for her to be able to give Chelsea the best team in the league, but a league that still provides quality competition every week, multiple cup competitions that also provide quality. For Germa, this is a great move. It's not going to Barcelona where she's going to never defend ever, except for maybe one game out of the year. Sorry, Barcelona's beaten team. Like they're just they're a great team. They have great individual players. I'm not arguing that, but the league itself is just not there. It's very much to be able to go to Chelsea is great, and also she's the third now American at Chelsea. Obviously you have Katarina Macario, who's been really health. He's still the official out with her ACL injuries, hopefully recovering in that. She's starting to train independently. It's fun. You have Emily Fox and Arsenal. And we'd like to see some of her stars, if they're in a bad club situation, in the States. Again, San Diego. Not a good club situation right now. Going to WSL is a good move, right? You are going to a league that values the women's game to an extent. And depending on the club, you're going to a club that wants to invest in and actually win and do well. And those are good things. I think this is a groundbreaking moment in women's football. It's a groundbreaking moment for the WSNT or USWT. Excuse me, lots of W's going on. But it's similar to me of when Brittany Rodman got her $1 million contract. It's just validation that actually knows we still have the best talent in the world.
What's the latest with Soccer for US POD? When do we expect things?
John, we are recording tonight. We've got two fathers on the podcast who, they have kids that do things, so that limits their ability to record on the weekend. So here we are. Monday night we'll record about the last two friendlies that we saw. And again, we're doing kind of a cold takes thing, John, where we're putting some water on some hot takes and maybe warming up some cold takes, if you will, just to kind of, from both ends, try to manage expectations. There are some hot takes flying after this, like Augustine is somehow jumped Vasquez in the striker depth chart. It's like, let's hear it now.
No.
Like, let's be excited
Get
what we saw in the context of where we saw it. So
get Ajimong more reps. That's what I want. Get Ajimong more reps. That's what I want.
I also need to point out, John, that John Roper, aka you probably should have got a yellow card for your handball yesterday. That was a dog's opportunity, and obviously I played advantage because the ball was in the back of the net. Looks to me you commit a handball offense, but they actually keep the ball out of the net. That would just be my personal advice to you. You probably should get a yellow card for that because I can still give you the yellow card despite playing the advantage in one of those situations. So, but hey,
as always,
adult league on a Sunday morning, we're just having fun. So.
Exactly. Bart, as always, great to catch up with you, my friend. And like I said, you can crash anytime that anything's going on to talk about anything. But be safe on your Monday, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for dropping by, as always.
Hey, y'all. Have a great day. Almost as good as I am with Grandma.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. There goes Bart with his Les Miserables mug. All right. About 20 minutes to go. Whatever's on the table for you. And I thank you for your forbearance involving Bart. Bart was trying to figure out what was up with audio and stuff. So, so he literally, here's what Bart did. Bart has his standard computer set up, and he has, the audio that functions and everything. And so what happened is, and this for those of you kind of catching up late, Bart's audio wasn't working. So literally it looked like he took his laptop and a hotspot and had to go someplace else in the Soccer for US POD studio space and be there with us this morning. So the Naomi Girma deal signed by transfer from San Diego to Chelsea reported world record transfer fee of $1.1 million. 2 days before that, the Wave brought in Kenza Dali from the French national from Aston Villa. by transfer. And there was a discussion that fee was 6 figures. So San Diego to Chelsea for Naomi Gierman. That's big. That's big news in women's soccer. And for the Wave to be able to benefit from that financially to the extent that they have, we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see where the numbers continue to go. But now Naomi Gierman has set the bar for transfer fees at $1.1 million. Okay, let's get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and all from our big sources. But I also wanted to get into the Arthur Cabral. Arthur Cabral is the new name that's attached to Atlanta United and chasing after a 9. Cabral, right now at Benfica, had the number, and this is 2 days ago. And like I said, this is reports and this is Twitter, so check your sources. Interesting, Kiwi. We'll get to that in a second. So right now, Arthur Cabral was listed. Benfica was looking for 20 million euro. And it appears that number is dropping and dropping and dropping as we get closer to the window. This is the inverse to Middlesbrough. So this would have been, and we'll get into Middlesbrough in a second, and all the other gossip of the day and what to keep an eye out for. We have gotten a here we go from Fabrizio Romano involving Miguel Almiron and Atlanta United. We got that about 5 o'clock this morning Eastern time. So right now, in addition to Emmanuel Latela to keep an eye on, now you add Arthur Cabral from Benfica. Right now, from Record in Portugal. The number is 16 plus 2. That was the number that was reported by the Portuguese papers involving Atlanta United and Cabral. That was 2 days ago. There is no other notification since that 2 days ago involving Cabral and Atlanta United. That's just that, and legitimately that's the everything quit on Cabral, Benfica, and Atlanta United 2 days ago. Have heard no updates on that whatsoever. So record in Portugal, Cabral, Benfica, 16 plus 2. Middlesbrough has now put themselves in a corner for the second window in a row involving Emmanuel Latela. Remember, Ipswich was interested back in the summer. That didn't go down. Now you had teams that were interested in this window, and Michael Carrick and Emmanuel Latela, apparently, Michael Carrick had no problem continuing to play his star striker. And because and we'll get into the standings in a second. No problem with your striker being played while you are in a promotion battle. In a promotion battle, that's where you currently are. So you end up with this particular time frame for Middlesbrough, and for the second window in a row, they may not end up with anything involving a sale of Emmanuel Latela. First time folks were interested. Middlesbrough said no. Second time, folks were interested. Middlesbrough, I think for all intents and purposes, I think it's safe to say that Middlesbrough was hoping for a bidding war. Premier League clubs, Atlanta United, these folks from MLS are interested. Let's say we create a bidding war. That didn't happen. No Premier League club, as far as my looking at social media or any other reports or anybody, any published reports. I have not seen any Premier League club linked to Emmanuel Latela at all. At all, period. I'm not going to put an exclamation point on it because we are not at the end of the window. But right now, and one other deal in the NWSL, Messiah Bright goes from Angel City to Houston in exchange for $100,000 intra-league transfer funds, and the transaction includes up to $50,000 additional performance and based incentives. So for the second window in a row, Middlesbrough might have circled around themselves and messed things up. They might have slipped on the banana peel again. Middlesbrough is in a promotion battle. That much, that is there, and it's going to be there. As Nick likes to say, it's a knife fight in a phone booth. So the current table, according to anybody and everybody, right now you have 4 teams that are in the 50s, and then there's a big gap. 4 teams within 4 points. Remember, it's 2 automatic promotion spots, and then the third is the promotion playoff, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6. Leeds, Sheffield United, Burnley, and Sunderland all separated by 4 points. Someone's going to be very disappointed. There's an 11-point gap to 5th. West Brom is at 44. Middlesbrough is in 6th. They would be in the final promotion playoff spot if the season ended today. It does not. You have 24, 23, 46. You have 17 matches left, and you're in a promotion fight. Right now, 5th through 13th is separated by 6 points. So you have a good week, you can climb the ladder. You have a bad week, you can fall out of everything. Right now, Middlesbrough's in 6th. They picked up Morgan Whitaker. Once again, Plymouth Argyle, they're on their way out the door. Plymouth Argyle, 22 points, and they are 7 points adrift currently from staying up in the league. Signed a striker from the team that's in last place in the EFL Championship for 6+2, £8 million. They had the chance for the second window in a row to pick up 20 from Atlanta United. 18+2 was the number that was out there for Emmanuel ATLUTD. For the final week of the window, they were looking for a bidding war. They've been looking for a bidding war for probably 2 weeks, ever since Atlanta United walked in the door. Oh, well, hello. And then, you wander over to the site. You wander over to, to your walkie-talkie or your walkie-talkie setup or whatever. Hey, look, Atlanta United is interested. Why don't we try to see if we can do something like, domestic? And you try to gin something up, and a lot of the clubs in the Premier League are going, we can find we got other dudes on our mind. But, I mean, if Atlanta United is interested, you guys ought to be interested too. We saw who you were in the last window to Ipswich. No, I think we might be doing business with someplace else. And what Middlesbrough might be doing is, if they are turning into a difficult dance partner just down the line, not necessarily in this window, for any of the players that are there at Middlesbrough, they might be just turning themselves into a more difficult dance partner and team to work with if you're interested in any of their players. Michael Carrick wants to play his star striker. All intents and purposes, the star striker's cool with that. Teams from outside the Premier League are interested. But hey, let's see if we can gin up support. And hey, look, if Atlanta United's interested, you guys ought to be too. And instead of pulling the trigger on the deal early in the window so you could have more of a runway to find a replacement, that could be Morgan Whitaker, it could be somebody else, could be a combination. You're getting to the end of the window when you're in a promotion battle and you're not doing anything. And now we have, we don't have an update on Emmanuel ATLUTD and the injury of the groin that caused him to be out after 11 minutes on the weekend, but I think folks might be backing away from the table. Doesn't matter. I mean, yes, we got into in the Twitch pitch the notion that, everything would come down to a medical anyway, but do you even want to touch that? If Middlesbrough is being this difficult, why continue to deal with him, period? And then, you set an example of, Middlesbrough, they're kind of, don't really want to deal with them. Yeah, I mean, these kinds of deals and this inability to pull the trigger, or a want to pull the trigger, or trying to go to the bitter end and come up with a deal, and then you end up empty-handed, but you still have the guy, but you didn't do a deal that could have worked for you financially. Yeah, to me, this makes Middlesbrough a more difficult dance partner as we go. I'm just saying. That to me that's what I'm staring at. Like I said, and obviously tomorrow we'll talk more about what's up with Atlanta United. Any other questions that you guys have as we go? Yeah, and Derek, I would say, especially with the injury, I don't even want to get to the. It's like, look, you're not even worth my time. You had all these discussions. You wanted to wait till the end of the window. I mean, and Atlanta United could wait to the end of the European window because then you get somebody in. It's 2 weeks. First match is on the 22nd. You'll be okay. Remember, Joseph was a late pickup. If you want to apply that kind of a thing to this whole discussion. Yeah, well, and Amelia, yeah, is Middlesbrough's front office worth their salt? That's the other question. You had multiple chances to sell your star striker on and have a financial, I won't say windfall, but you have a financial benefit that you could apply to other players. Look, you've spent $8 million on Morgan Whitaker. And I think what you were doing is you were picking up Morgan Whitaker as a replacement, hoping that you could sell Latte Lath on. Now you might be stuck with an injured Latte Lath and an $8 million price tag that you sent for somebody that is probably going to help you out. But now you're $8 million or £8 million to the purchase side, and you haven't been able, and you might have messed up the chance to get rid of your striker that could have brought you 20. Like I said, just saying. All these things attached to the front office there at Middlesbrough. Al Ittihad have sent formal bid to Barca for Unai Hernandez, worth about €4 to €5 million. Negotiations underway with the Barca B captain. Deal on and advanced, according to Romano. Mainz have signed Arnaud Nordin from Montpellier due to travel for a medical, according to La Parisienne. Flamengo closing in on a Danilo deal, terminating his deal at Juve next week as planned. And it looks like you decided to return to Brazil. Move should be completed next week. And the contract has been terminated. Signs in as a Flamengo player, 2-year deal confirmed. Here we go. Yeah, the like off the Maine coast, there was an earthquake that just came across the wires. So keep an eye on that. Bayer Leverkusen have approached Manchester City to sign James McAtee. Loan plus an option offered to City. Xabi Alonso has been a fan of McAtee, first choice to replace the injured Terrier. So Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, reluctant to let him go as they feel he can be a regular starter. Not a surprise. Danilo Vega has arrived in Italy to sign his new Lecce fullback from Amadora, €2 million plus a 10% sell-on. Santos and Al Hilal direct talks this week, formal steps of the Neymar deal. So keep an eye on that going forward. Matteo Dams goes from PSV Eindhoven to Al Ahly. Let's see. Lecce also looking at Thiago Gabriel. Neymar's return to Santos now imminent. Neymar has already said yes to the move. Getting closer to an agreement, Leverkusen and Roma on the transfer of Mario Hermoso. I'm trying to see if there are any other international transfers before we get into the England game and see what's going on there. Talisca getting ready for Fenerbahce. Celtic bringing Jota back from Rennes. So you end up with Furuhashi going to Rennes and Jota, as Jarrett was saying, going back to Celtic. So the 10 million, basically this is like a 2-lane trade. Rennes spend 10 million to bring Furuhashi-san back, but then they get the 10 million back as they send Jota to Celtic. So it was like a trade, but not a trade, if that makes any sense. So that's on the table. All right. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch, and how to watch it. We do have Monday Night Football that you can keep an eye on, I think, tonight. And like I said, we'll see what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and get you into all of the promos before we go here as well. And thanks for hanging out here on a Monday on SDH AM. Back at it again tomorrow at 9:05 East. Actually, no. Sorry, wait a minute. Tomorrow, No morning show because we will be at the U.S. National Training Center. I think they are putting in the first beams for the actual building. So it will be an SDH PM tomorrow, probably early afternoon, like 2-ish or something. We will have sound from the National Training Ground ceremony. A couple of folks from U.S. Soccer will be there, and we will catch up with them. I think you're getting the ceremonial first beam, and I know that we're getting a hard hat tour. So we'll be down there for that tomorrow. So SDH afternoon tomorrow, because in the morning we'll be down in Fayetteville looking at the new training center for the international side. All right, your Monday gossip. Lecce president Stici Damiani says the club is trying to resist Manchester United's pressure to sign Dorgu, who has been valued at 40 million euro. We mentioned Neymar. We mentioned Vega. Buendia, Emi Buendia has agreed on a 1-year extension to his current deal at Aston Villa, which was due to run out in 26, amid interest from Germany, Italy, and Saudi Arabia. Villa in talks, and they really want Argentine defender Juan Foyt from Villarreal, since they could not bring in Loic Bade from Sevilla. If you have any conversation with Unai Emery, they want to bring in Foyt badly. Arsenal hoping to hold off interest from other Premier League clubs to sign 18-year-old Norwegian star Sverre Nypan from Rosenborg. Timo Werner on loan at Spurs from RB Leipzig is in talks about a move to New York Red Bulls. That's from our friends at Foot Mercato, so keep an eye on that. Virgil van Dijk says he doesn't know what the future will bring as his contract runs out in the summer. Brentford's Mats Roslev will fly to Wolfsburg on Monday to complete a medical after the two clubs reached an agreement on a 6-month loan deal with an option to buy. Strasbourg will make another move for Brentford's forward Fabio Carvalho after having an initial offer to take him on loan rejected by Brentford. AC Milan planning on making an improved bid of about 33 to 34 million euro for striker Santi Jimenez, although Feyenoord want 40. Leicester City, Hamza Chowdhury set to join Sheffield United on loan with an option to buy. Southampton will listen to offers for Kyle Walker-Peters after Galatasaray made an approach for the 27-year-old defender who is out of contract in the summer. Job Bellingham wanted by Borussia Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen. So that's also from the 3-letter paper. So take that information at your own peril. Okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll get into that. We might go a little over here. So don't forget, you can get all of your information about everything, soccerdownhere.net on the web. You can go to all of our social media channels. YouTube channel's got a lot of stuff up on it. Everything that you see, all of the morning espressos from Jason and all that, you can catch up with that. We did mention Mateus Bogusz to Cruz Azul for more than 10. It was initially 9, but listed now, according to Paul Kennedy and Soccer America, for over 10 million. Let's see. The weekend soccer preview. We already had our preview and everything, and not a surprise that, according to Doug Robertson of the AJC team, it's going to depend on the severity of the injury at 18+2. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, this is setting an example about dealing with Middlesbrough. Okay. U17 Women's Championship in CONCACAF. Doubleheader, Trinidad Tobago, U.S. Virgin Islands at 7, followed by Bermuda and the Caymans at 9:30. That's on FS2, as is the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. They've got a match at noon. ESPN Deportes, La Liga at 3, Alaves and Celta de Vigo. Deportes simulcasting the noon match from the Middle East. ESPN Plus also simulcasting the La Liga. Fox Soccer Plus has other matchups in the U17 Women's Championship. Honduras, Belize, and Guatemala and Curacao at 4 and 7. Golazo Network has championship Burnley and Leeds. That's a big matchup at the top of the table. That's at 3 o'clock. Paramount Plus simulcasting Serie A, Venezia, Hellas Verona 12:30, Genoa and Monza at 2:45. So that is your Monday night football coming from Serie A today, as opposed to other places. All right, let me take the tour really quickly and see if I have missed anything. And if there's anything else that you guys have on the table. Like I said, tomorrow we'll have stuff coming from the U.S. National Training Center, and we'll catch up on all the other topics that are on your mind as we go. Let's see. What does Ben Jacobs have up this morning? Still keeping his pinned story up on Miggy. wanting 8.5, but like I said, it looks like it's going to be 10 plus 2. Disasi has agreed personal terms with Aston Villa, according to Fabrizio Romano and Ben Jacobs. Club-to-club talks ongoing. Chelsea's open to different formulas. Disasi is also on Wolves' radar, as well as clubs in Europe. Mindava has drawn interest from England, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, focused on ATLUTD after playing for both Leverkusen and Villarreal. 10 million plus add-ons. At least part of, and this is according to Ben Jacobs, at least part of Miggy's medical will take place in England prior to flying. So stories there with Tommy Scoops over at Gimme Sport. Omar Kellyman unlikely to go on loan from Chelsea. We mentioned Furuhashi-san. Neymar going to fly in the next 2 or 3 days to Brazil if all goes to plan. We mentioned Vega, mentioned Danso, mentioned Alak Lee, and let's see, pending the medical, joining the preseason. Miggy. Like I said, that's Bogert and that's Tom Bogert and Ben Jacobs. And I think, Jota returns on a 5.5-year deal. Okay, but the number's 4 million according to Ben, so it's not the 10. Furuhashi-san goes for 10. Ren paying 10 for Celtic. Celtic signing Jota from Ren for around 4 million. 25-year-old left for Al Ittihad before going to Ren, now returns on a 5.5-year deal. Okay. Arsenal pushing a 9-pan. Casemiro could be on his way out at Manchester United. Danilo set to reunite with Alexandro, signing Flamengo. Anthony joins Real Betis on loan. Jota and Talisca going back to Fenerbahce. Let me see if there's anything else that I have missed and anything else on our collective minds as we go. Before we see, you'll see the Thorns have announced their preseason roster, so that is out. They're going to be in Tucson. Tormenta have signed Joseph Perez. Perez began his career with Puebla in Liga MX, and so Ian Cameron, Darren Van Tassel piecing things together, getting ready for the USL League One season. Oh, I wanted to get into stupidity down here with Raja Nainggolan. Associated Press, before we get out of here on a Monday, unless anything else moves before we get out of here. All right. Ex-Belgium star Raja Nainggolan arrested in cocaine trafficking probe. Like, literally, this came up in my alerts this morning from the AP. Arrested as part of an investigation into cocaine trafficking into Europe from South America, the Brussels Public Prosecutor's Office said Brussels federal police carried out 30 searches on Monday morning, mainly in the province of Antwerp and in and around Brussels as a part of the investigation. Public Prosecutor's Office confirmed that the player was, quote, deprived of his liberty in connection with this case, end quote. Probe focuses on the alleged importation of cocaine from South America via the port of Antwerp and its redistribution in Belgium. After several months without a club, Nainggolan came out of retirement to play for second-tier Belgian side Lokeren Temse, celebrated his debut with a goal straight from a corner kick last weekend. New team said in a statement that they found out about his arrest from media reports. Quote, the club respects the presumption of innocence and therefore cannot comment further. We can only confirm that the player was absent from training this morning. The club will continue to focus on tomorrow's crucial league match against KAS Eupen. Raja Nainggolan is not eligible to play in that match anyway, end quote. 30 appearances for Belgium, has not played for country since March of 2018, and that's where we are. So then they go into the AP goes into his disciplinary issues. 2018, fined and dropped, posting a video of himself on Instagram on New Year's Eve, and then Royal Antwerp in 22, suspended after he was pictured smoking an e-cig on the bench. Belgian club at the time also mentioned how his behavior could affect negatively on the squad. I could see smoking an e-cig on the bench might not be a good example for youngins. So that's stupidity down here for today, allegedly. Back at it again, once again, tomorrow afternoon for SDH PM. Reminder, you can go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, buy out the whole store, use the code SoccerDownHere15. You save 15%. They invest 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives at Kickoff Coffee. Grady Baby co-collaboration. Soccer is just better in Atlanta. You've seen me wear the sweatshirt on the air. It's very comfortable, very, very well done. And you can get that gear. Soccer is just better in Atlanta at Grady Baby Co. And what you can do with that is when you purchase, that helps out middle school soccer programs attached to Atlanta Public Schools. Olive in New York, you can pick up the first ever Soccer Down Here jersey, thanks to our friends at Beyond Goals, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente for the design. Scott Flood and the Flood Project doing great work with that. And you can go to Olive in York. It is a navy jersey, and you can get it personalized either with white letters and numbers or with a light blue, like Carolina blue letters and numbers for a navy jersey. So choice is yours over at Olive in York. And once again, you can pick up a scarf from this side of the Atlantic if you want to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands as they continue to build their soccer program. We figured we'd have the scarf made, and you can pick those up. Go to the Marshall Islands store, get the bucket hat, get the 2 jerseys, get the scarf. You get the scarf from me here at OSG HQ and SDH HQ and Office HD, and I can get it to you because I've still got some, and it's on the other side of that door. So there you go. All right, back at it again. SDH PM, like I said, tomorrow morning, and keep an eye on our social media because we will let you know what's going on down there. And it sounds like they're starting the laying of the actual foundation of the building for the National Training Center down there in Fayetteville. So we'll be down there in the morning, SDH PM in the afternoon to break down everything that we had going on in the morning and all the news of the day as we get closer to from a here we go to an hey, he's actually here when it comes to Miguel Almiron at 10+2. That's the number being reported from overseas. So thanks again to all of you. Thanking your forbearance for hanging out with us with Bart, with Abe, and with Anthony Catalano at Apotheos. Big news from them as they are shifting to a very, very tough division in the Southern Conference in USL League 2. So thanks to all of them for hanging out this morning and being a part of things here at SDH. And as always, thanks to you at the Twitch pitch, and thanks for the conversation that you guys always give us. And thanks for being a part of the growth of the network. So we couldn't do this without you. So, we're supposed to hear from the Sports Podcast Awards this week about whether or not we knocked off the Giants at New Heights and SV Pod and Bros Pod and became the winner. So we'll find out about Sports Podcast Awards this week as well. So we'll see what happened there. Once again, thanks for hanging out with us. Mucho plati, I'll play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do something. Did I eliminate it? I'll probably eliminate it. I'll have to build it again tomorrow. All right. Play it safe, everybody. We're out.